Picture this. You're standing on a snowy hill, the wind howling like a wounded wolf, and below, an enemy encampment glows with torches that look like eyes in the darkness. Your hand grips the handle of a katana you forged with your own hands, and you know that in minutes, blood will turn the snow red. Sound like a dream? Well, it's Ghost of Yōtei, and I swear it'll hook you like a fish hook in the flesh. If Ghost of Tsushima left you wanting more samurai and breathtaking landscapes, this is the hit you've been waiting for. In 1603, in the wilds of Azo, what we know today as Hokkaido, Atsu, a lonely and hardened warrior, rides like an avenging ghost. 16 years ago, the outlaw gang known as the Yotei six masked thugs led by the sinister Lord Saito, razed her village, killed her family, and left her nailed to a burning tree, believing her dead. Now Atsu has returned, marked by scars and a hatred that burns hotter than fire. Her mission, to hunt down each of these bastards, one by one, in a rural Japan where snow, rain, and the northern lights don't just decorate the landscape, they change the game. This isn't a direct sequel to Tsushima, it's a fresh, standalone story with touches of Ainu mythology and a focus on healing after revenge. Atsu isn't an honorable samurai like Jin. She's a ronin who doesn't hesitate to get her hands dirty, summoning spectral wolves and throwing weapons like deadly confetti. The open world revolves around Mount Yotei, a towering volcano that dominates everything, and you decide the order of your prey, except for the snake at the start and Saito at the end. Simple, right? But oh man, how it gets complicated when you enter the mud. Let's start with the brutal. If there's one thing Ghost of Yōtei does masterfully, it's turning every fight into a symphony of mayhem that leaves your adrenaline pumping. Forget generic open-world combat. Here, every blow feels like you're directing your own samurai movie, with blood splattering across the screen and enemies flying like broken puppets. Atsu isn't a little princess with a sword. She's a machine of destruction with an arsenal that makes you feel like a chef preparing a revenge feast. First, the melee combat. It's the lifeblood of the game, and Sucker Punch has polished it until it shines like a freshly sharpened katana. Instead of stances like in Tsushima, you now wield sets of distinct weapons: dual katanas for swift, bloody slashes, an odachi for sweeping attacks that decapitate 3 guys in one, a yari to keep archers at bay, and the kusarigama, that sickle-like chain that lets you snag enemies from afar and pull them onto your blade like fresh fish. Each weapon has its own master you find in the world, and training with them unlocks brutal moves, takedowns that leave your opponent swordless, allowing you to fight with bare fists or steal their weapon and shove it into their necks. Picture this, you're in a blizzard surrounded by 15 bandits. You summon your wolf companion, yes, a real wolf, not a hologram, who bites at ankles and provides distractions while you roll, parry arrows with a perfect block, and finish with a finisher that makes the guy explode in a fountain of blood. The dual sense vibrates with every impact, the adaptive triggers stiffen as you draw the bow or fire your new Tangashima, a primitive arquebus that breaks stealth but blows heads off at range. It's so fluid that after an hour, you feel like Bruce Lee at a Tarantino festival. Every parry is a pow that makes you grin like an idiot. But the brutality doesn't stop with the fights. The exploration is a hook that pulls you back again and again. Izo isn't just a large map, it's a living canvas, inspired by Ainu nature, with wildflower meadows waving in the wind, snowy forests where the snow muffles your footsteps for perfect stealth, and rocky shores where waves crash like war drums. The dynamic weather is a gem. Rain clouds enemy vision, facilitating ambushes, snow leaves footprints that give you away if you're not careful, and the northern lights illuminate the night like a light show, but they also reveal distant encampments. You follow the wind, just like in Tsushima, but now with contextual clues. A torn piece of cloth leads you to a hidden cave, or a cawing crow signals a bounty hunt in a distant village. And the side quests? They're not filler, they're brutal in their depth. You help an Ainu blacksmith forge a legendary sword and end up on a mastery quest where you fight shadows of your past, or you hunt mythical beasts, spectral bears inspired by yokai folklore that drop materials for upgrades that make your weapons cut like butter.
The narrative? Oh yeah, the narrative is the master hook. Atsu, voiced by Erika Ishii like gravel and fire, isn't a flat heroine. She's a whirlwind of rage and vulnerability. Flashbacks take you back to her childhood. You see her brother teaching her to fight, her father at the forge, tender moments contrasted with the carnage that erases them. Each member of the Yotei 6 is a unique villain. The snake, cunning and poisonous with traps. The Oni, a tank with bone-crushing maces. The Kitsune, illusory with clones and poisons. You face them in non-linear order, and every boss fight is a climax. Duels on windswept suspension bridges, or ambushes in hot springs where the steam gives you cover. And the multiplayer? Ghost of Yōtei Legends arrives in 2026 with co-op missions against giant mythological versions of the Six, like a fire-breathing dragon or a demonic kitsune. It's co-op for 2 in stories, or 4 in survival waves. Imagine battling yokai with friends, laughing as you die from a silly mistake. Visually and sonically, it's a kick in the teeth of the ordinary. On PS5 Pro, the landscapes are hyper-real. Mount Yotei stands like a sleeping god reflected in frozen lakes. Special modes like Kurosawa, black and white with film grain, or the new Miike close-up camera, more blood and mud, transform the experience into interactive cinema. The soundtrack? It mixes taiko drums with Ainu flutes and ethereal choirs that raise the tension like a lump in your throat. Modes like Watchanage with lo-fi beats during exploration add a playful, almost ironic touch to the brutality. I spent hours riding alone, letting the wind guide me to hidden ruins, finding interactive haikus or sumie paintings on the controller's touchpad, soothing minigames that make you feel like an artist amidst the chaos. And the small details? Brutal. Your wolfpack allies you recruit aren't static NPCs. They come to your camp, chat, sell you upgrades, or join in optional fights. Bounty hunting gives you gold for crazy cosmetics, armor with fractured masks that Atsu paints herself, evoking her trauma. The world reacts. Villagers fear you like an Onryo, avenging ghost, whispering legends about you. It's immersive to the point that, after 50 hours, Ezo feels like a home that hurts to leave. The brutality here isn't just the violence, it's how the game makes you love a place while gutting it. Now let's talk about the ugly. Ghost of Yōtei has its flaws, and they're the ones that make you frown amidst the euphoria. It's not a disaster, far from it, but if Tsushima was a diamond with minimal impurities, this one has rough edges that scrape. Let's get to the point because I'd hate to sell you smoke. The open world, as shiny as it is, sometimes feels like a bowl in a china shop. Huge, but clumsy. Ezo is vast, yes, but in its more remote corners, the density drops like a brick. You find yourself riding for half an hour between points of interest, and suddenly, boom, a generic pick flowers or free a bird icon that reeks of 2015. The secondary side quests promise depth, but many are variations on the same theme. Go to this village, kill 3 bandits, talk to the wise old man who gives you a tearjerker anecdote. Not all of them. There are gems like the bear bucket quest that makes you question Atsu's violence, or the yokai hunt that respectfully integrates Ainu mythology. But 60% filler that takes you out of the main narrative flow. Sucker Punch claims to be clue-based, but in practice, you follow the wind or a subtle marker that ends up being a disguised waypoint. If you're looking for the total freedom of Red Dead Redemption 2, here you'll find a segmented map that, while justified by the themed regions, grasslands, mountains, coasts, sometimes forces unnecessary detours. Stealth, that pillar of the Ghost genre, is another ugly point. In Tsushima, it was tense and optional. Here they've improved it with more tools, a grappling hook for climbing, a wolf for distractions, but the enemy AI is a predictable joke. Guards repeat patterns like parrots. They patrol in circles, ignore obvious noises, and are alerted by a falling leaf, but not a bloody body 6 feet away. Fail to stealth and you drop into combat, which is great, but it loses its weight. There are times when you want to be the stealthy ghost, but end up feeling like a bull in a china shop because an enemy can see you through the fog like they've got an X-ray. And the arquebus? Innovative, but unbalanced. One shot alerts everyone, but in a world where combat is so addictive, who needs perfect stealth?
The story, though moving, stumbles on the predictable. It's classic revenge. Dead family, one-on-one hunting, revelations about past betrayals. The Yotei 6 are memorable. The dragon with his scaly armor and fiery attacks is a highlight, but some feel like recycled Western villain archetypes. Lord Saito, the big bad, has a twist that screams, "I saw this coming" from flashback number 3. And Atsu, Erika Ishii makes her shine, but her revenge to redemption arc feels forced into side quests that disrupt the flow. The game promises non-linearity, but the boss order has little impact on the main plot. It's more cosmetic than transformative. Technically, on base PS5, there are hiccups. Texture pops in dense snowy areas, and the expanded photo mode sometimes glitches with the dynamic weather. The 60 FPS in performance mode sacrifices visual details that in fidelity mode 30 FPS leave you speechless, but it forces you to choose.
and the post-launch multiplayer? Great on paper, but since it's not up to date, you feel the void if you play solo. It's not broken, but in an 80 GB game, you expected Sony-level polish. Ugly doesn't ruin the party. It's like an epic party with a dirty bathroom. You avoid the bathroom, but you wish it had been cleaned. Look, I'm one of those who got hooked on Tsushima to the point of ignoring work deadlines for one more quest. Yotei gave me that and more. I spent entire nights summoning wolves and storms, feeling like a living legend. But it also frustrated me, riding through void after void wondering if the stealth was worth the effort. It's an 8.5 out of 10 from me. Brutal in what it loves, ugly in what it ignores. And I recommend it to anyone who wants a world that embraces you and stabs you at the same time. If you're a fan of the genre, buy it. If not, wait for a sale. Ghost of Yōtei is a precarious balance between a sharp sword and a dented shield. It shines in its visceral combat, poetic exploration, and an Atsu who breaks your heart while making you applaud her kills. The brutality, that deadly dance with weapons that feel alive, landscapes that breathe, a story that makes you question the cost of anger, keeps you glued to the controller for an easy 40-50 hours, with side content that at its best elevates the whole. But the ugly lurks, a world that prioritizes quantity over quality in quests, stealth that slips against a clumsy AI, and a narrative that, while moving, doesn't reinvent the wheel of revenge. Objectively, it's a solid evolution of Tsushima, not a revolution, but with Ainu touches and fresh mechanics that make it feel alive. If you're looking for an escape to a romantic and bloody feudal Japan, this is it. Just don't expect flawless perfection. In the end, it's a reminder. Beauty and brutality go hand in hand, like snow covering blood. And so, with the echo of a katana being sheathed, I end this discussion. If Ghost of Yōtei calls to you, go for it, but bring chocolate for the slow parts. What do you think? Are you tempted by snowy revenge, or would you rather wait for the wolf to howl on sale? Either way, thanks for reading this far. Now go, conquer your own Mount Yotei. See you in the next adventure, Samurai.